The effects of a really strong Arctic front that moved through during the overnight hours. So we've got significantly colder temperatures today, some gusty winds that are going to make it feel even colder. And we've also got some snow falling, and that's going to continue for the rest of the day. So that's going to mean some low visibility and some blowing snow as we go through the rest of your Monday and possibly even into the overnight for some locations. So plan on needing a little bit of extra driving time, maintain those safe distances, winter weather practices, especially high profile vehicles on the turnpike. Those are not going to be an issue, at least for this stretch with really high winds. But winds could gust easily over 50 miles per hour at times. We've already had a report over 60 miles per hour out towards Lorraine. So some power outages could be likely. We might have some issues with some fallen trees, some power lines, debris, a lot of trash cans and recycling bins, and some of the extra stuff from Christmas. Saw a lot of that out and about this morning. So watch out for all of that as you navigate things through the day today. We do have some of that snow falling in downtown Cleveland right now, obscuring the view a little bit there. And temperatures really just incredibly cold compared to where we were late yesterday and through the overnight hours. We were briefly in the 60s, now teens and 20s, feeling like the single digits and even the negatives. -1 out towards Elyria, -4 for Mansfield. So we all have that chill. We all have the gusty winds coming in from the west, southwest, gusting now to 51 miles per hour out towards Ashtabula, 55 for Elyria, 53 out towards Port Clinton. So that wind is definitely going to be something you feel and hear through the afternoon here. Mentioned we do have snow falling, so that means limited visibility impacted for everyone. Just 1.5 miles out towards Elyria, downtown Cleveland, Akron, Canton, 1 mile out towards Youngstown. So we're going to watch that visibility very closely as we go through the rest of today. Snow is falling, mostly light to moderate snow for the majority of us with this particular push of snow. And again, visibility is going to be our main concern. That could cause some issues with the drive as well. We've got an area of low pressure off to our north, so everything's kind of spiraling around this. There's a big temperature shift with this and a lot of wind energy. We have some high wind warnings, some wind advisories for our area, and those are really associated with the entire southern part of this storm system right now. So we do have snow that's pushing through right now, and we're also going to get some lake effect that kicks up behind that snow. So we're going to watch snow for the rest of today. Most everyone gets at least a trace, maybe some additional accumulations out towards the snowbelt by the time we get through that evening drive. We'll continue to see mostly lake effect snow through the overnight hours and into early tomorrow morning. So that could really add up for a few locations. And those locations are really where we have those winter weather advisories that are going to be in effect. And we've been upgraded to a lake snow warning for portions of Geauga County. Locally, we could see up to 6 to 8 inches where we get some of that lake effect snow to really persist. So we'll walk you through this with that National Design Mart hour by hour forecast. We've got the wind up there, temperatures, and the wind chill. So a lot on here, and then snow as well. So we've got snow that's with us through the afternoon here. We'll see that becoming a little more focused on lake effect driven snow as we go through the late afternoon and evening. So more of those traditional bands that we would expect to see. But where we have those bands, that could mean some very quickly changing conditions, some very low visibility, and some very quick accumulations as well. So we'll watch out for all of that through the evening commute. Our temperatures are going to stay cold, and those wind chills are going to stay even colder as we go through the overnight hours. Lake effect continues pretty strong through the overnight hours. By tomorrow morning, that's tapering off a little bit. It shouldn't be quite as intense. Everyone starts off cold. Our winds are still windy, but at least a little bit better in terms of those gusts. And we will see improving winds a little bit as we go through the day. It's still cold. It's still very blustery through the day on Tuesday, but we'll have some more snow returning to that forecast as we get into Tuesday night and early Wednesday. So we are going to maintain that very cold and active pattern for the next few days with that Union Home Mortgage forecast. Some additional snow potential into Wednesday. Temperatures stay below average, mostly in the 20s all the way through the rest of the week.
I'm meteorologist Caitlin McGrath, and I want to take a few minutes and talk about some of the winter weather you'll hear making headlines here over the cold winter months, starting with Arctic blasts that come from the polar vortex. So let's start with the basics. What the polar vortex is. It's an area of low pressure and cold air that surrounds it that sits at both the north and the South Pole. When we have a strong polar vortex, we have a really tight jet stream that keeps that cold air trapped in place at the poles. But sometimes the jet stream weakens and that polar vortex, that Arctic air, can sink south. Sometimes it can go as far south in the United States as parts of Texas and the southeast, but most often you'll kind of hear about these Arctic blasts through parts of the Midwest, the Great Plains, and the Northeast. Now you'll also hear us talking about Alberta clippers, and they get their names because oftentimes these weak little winter systems form in Canada, right around the region of Alberta, and they just kind of clip parts of the United States. This is the typical path that they may take as they move through the Great Plains into the Midwest, across parts of the Mid-Atlantic, and into the Northeast. They are fast moving and they oftentimes lack moisture. These are not your big blizzards, they're not big nor'easters, but they typically are enough to bring just a little bit of light snow, and oftentimes what moves in behind a clipper is really cold air and blustery wind. Just two types of weather phenomenon that you'll hear about here as we head through the next several months.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Stenonis. Lake effect snow, it's a rare and unique weather phenomenon, and it can happen anywhere there's a large enough lake with cold enough air flowing over the relatively warmer lake water. A more common place for this, for all the weather ingredients to come together, well, it's the Great Lakes region, and that's where we see most of that lake effect snow happening. And lake effect snow, as we know, can have a big weather impact. So let's go more into detail on that and how lake effect snow develops. Well, you get colder air that moves over the warmer lake water, and as that warmer air rises, since it's more buoyant and less dense than colder air, as it rises, it cools and condenses and forms clouds, then precipitation and snowfall that dumps downwind of the lake and over land, and you can get multiple feet in a short period of time from lake effect snow. There are three main weather ingredients that need to come together for this. One, cold enough air flowing over that relatively warmer lake water to generate enough of that instability for convection and that rising air. And the greater the temperature difference, the heavier the snow can be, and you can even get thunder snow. Also, you need enough atmospheric moisture in place to get those snow crystals developing and growing in that rising unstable air. And three, the wind flow over the lake, best case, is over the longest fetch or length of the lake, giving that air more to work with in terms of generating more instability and producing snowfall. So the direction of the wind flow is important for the snow amounts and locations of the heaviest snow bands. For instance, over Lake Erie, when you get that southwesterly wind flow, that's when areas just northeast of the lake can get a lot of heavy snow, including Buffalo, New York. Same for a westerly flow over Lake Ontario. The eastern end of the lake then can get buried in the heavy snow. Another unique thing about lake effect snow is it is very localized. The lake effect snow bands are usually pretty narrow, sometimes only 10 to 15 miles wide, and just a few miles north or south of the band can be mostly sunny. And get this, a lake effect snow machine can just keep going and going for hours and days, generating significant amounts of snow very quickly, as long as the main weather ingredients stay in place. Lake effect snow events can be very intense and of long duration, producing snowfall rates up to around 5 inches per hour, creating whiteout conditions and blizzards. Massive amounts of snow, multiple feet of snow, can be produced in just a day. And lake effect snow events can last many, many days, which can shut down local cities and airports. That's why it is important to stay weather aware of updates on where and when lake effect snow bands can develop, and have a safety plan in place, such as enough supplies to hunker down through the storm, also alternate routes and travel plans well before lake effect snow happens. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Stenonis.